Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome back to another video about Influence, a new space game being designed by Unstoppable Games. Now I've talked about Influence a bit in the past, there are other videos on this channel talking about what this actually is, and I'm going to preface this by saying this is a blockchain based game, and I know that's going to send a load of people running from the hills right off the bat. I do want to assure you all that yes, I know blockchain is scary, it's done some really scummy, evil things in the past, but I genuinely believe that technology itself is not evil, it's what you do with it, and whereas a lot of companies in the past have used blockchain to do some scummy things, I do think there are genuine uses for their technology, and Unstoppable Games seem to be doing some really interesting stuff with it. This video is not sponsored, so if you know my views about blockchains and NFTs and all that crap, you'll know that I'm genuinely distasteful of this kind of stuff, but yet here I still am talking about Influence. Now, if you want to watch my previous video about that, I do explain why I am thinking the way I'm thinking about this and why I feel the way I feel. I'm not going to reiterate all of that in this particular video. Suffice it to say, though, I genuinely think that the blockchain technology does some really interesting stuff in this game that wouldn't be possible without it. Anyway, this video is going to be about me having a look at the pre-release for Influence and showcasing what it's like to get started in this game, so that if you want to give it a try, you absolutely can. We're getting close to actual global launch of this, and so I wanted to dive in, give it a little bit of a feel and a poke around, get under the hood with it, whack it with a spanner a few times, and see what happens. So we're going to look at character creation, setting up your crew, and the basic sort of interface and what you're going to be looking at. If you do enjoy this, please let me know, hit like, drop a comment, you know, all the usual jazz. Become a channel member as well if you're thinking you'd like to support me. That is an excellent way to do it. Anyway, on with the show. So here we are with me now signed into Influence. You can see I've got some of the currency up here called Sway. This is what you're going to be using in order to actually do stuff in the game. It's set in the Adalia system, this fictional system cluster of space that, as you can see on the screen here, is jam-packed with asteroids, and the main purpose of the game is essentially to build up industry and your own economic empire using these asteroids, harvesting minerals, processing resources, creating new products that you trade and work on the market. It's all pretty much done in real time using actual space physics as well, which I think is pretty awesome. These asteroids are forever moving in an actual asteroid belt, so if you want to leave the rock you're on and move on to a different one, you are going to have to take that into consideration, as some of those journeys can take a long time, so be aware of that. We are leaning hard into the hard science fiction here. Anyway, with the account up and running, I'm going to jump in and we are going to start setting up a crew first of all. Now, when you start to set up a crew, the first thing that we get here is some of the story behind the game, which I really like. This is surprisingly well written for this kind of game. I am really enjoying the kind of stuff I'm reading here about how humanity has come to the Adalian system in order to start harvesting resources and expand its influence across this cluster. Now, when you start off, you are given a question of who you want in your crew to start off with. There are 5 types of crewmates: miners, engineers, merchants, scientists, and pilots. These will give you bonuses for having them in your crew when you are doing things. You don't need one of each. You could have a team of nothing but miners if you want, being well aware that you're not going to get any of the bonuses for having pilots. Essentially, the best way to think of this is that having a member of that particular type is going to give you basically flat rates. If you have a miner, then mining will be done at 100% efficiency. If you have 2 miners, it's going to be done at 200% efficiency. If you have no miners, it will be done at about 50% efficiency, and that's kind of the thing to go with here. So we have miners. While on the surface it may appear that miners value the strength of their backs over their brains, like their quarry, the reality lies underneath. They are highly skilled and knowledgeable in their area of expertise. You use these guys to make sure you are getting better resources out of the rocks that you're on. Engineers. If there's a problem, an engineer will find an answer. Whether it's buildings, ships, or processes, engineers are thrilled to be the one to solve the puzzle. Engineers essentially are going to help you with building things, constructing things, and working on repairs, that kind of stuff. Merchants. Predictions of the ebb and flow of goods and services are about more than numbers on a spreadsheet. Sorry, EVE Online players, there is more to just spreadsheets in space. You do actually have to do something with those spreadsheets, right? I joke, but seriously. They're about anticipating the needs and desires of humanity, something that merchants strive to understand, and having merchants in your crew will give you advantages when trading. Scientists, motivated by a desire to expand human knowledge, scientists have the capability to learn from the past while keeping their gaze steadily on the future. This is all about research, development, and that kind of thing. Finally, we have pilots, often restless, always ready for adventure. Pilots are happiest when they are flying. Their expertise gets them and their crew where they want to go quickly, safely, and efficiently. Now, when first starting your crew, obviously you can pick up to 5 different members. You will have your captain and then 4 other members of crew. These can be changed later. And one of the really cool things that does utilize the blockchain side of Influence is that every character that you create will have their story attached to them. I know this is a scary 3 letters, but bear with me here. Every single character is an NFT. Now, an NFT actually at its core is a non-fungible token. That's all that term means. This isn't about ugly-ass gorilla JPEGs or, like, ridiculous monetary, scams. What we're talking about here is essentially a token that has a completely unique identifier to it. That's all an NFT is. That is all an NFT is. It is a token with a unique identifier that means it cannot be exchanged directly for something else. It is completely in and of itself unique, whereas, for example, a standard coin isn't. Like, if you are just taking a coin out of your wallet, a £1 coin or a dime or whatever in your currency is the same as any others. These have intrinsic details locked into them, and that will be the backstory of your crew, which means if you decide that you have a pilot on your team and you decide you no longer want him, that pilot can be sold on the market. You can drop him into the market and other players can then hire him to their crew, or her, obviously. I'm just using him as a quote-unquote gender-neutral term here. When that pilot joins someone else's crew, it will have the story attached to it from your crew, and therefore each of these characters can actually develop essentially a history and almost a personality within it. So the stuff you do with your crew will become part of their histories, and if they then move on to other players' crews, that history will carry with them. And I just think there is something really intrinsically cool about that. Now, because I want to create Captain Benzie first of all, because of course I do, I have to decide which of these I'm most likely to be. Now, I'm not really a miner, I'm not really a merchant. I'm probably more engineer, scientist, or pilot, and that's actually kind of a difficult choice for me as to which to go for. If I'm using my EVE Online backstory and background, well, I could really be any of those things. I like educating people, I enjoy flying ships, I enjoy finding a problem and solving it. And so I'm going to go with pilot for here. Pilots aren't necessarily overly important in the early game because they're going to help you with flying your ship and moving between rocks, whereas things like miners and engineers and scientists are going to help you directly on the first rock you're on. But hey, we're going to look at all the different points of crew, so I'm going to go for a pilot. Now, as you've grown, you've begun to have a more mature appreciation of what it means to take your place in society. This is called your drive. This is very D&D, which I kind of like. You find that some old friends' ambitions do not quite align with yours, while some of your new acquaintances have the same motivations as you. You're becoming more confident in understanding your place in the universe. So, what drives you? Are you driven by survival, your need to live, your primary drive, the survival of yourself and the people you know and your species as a whole? Is your drive service, a need to fulfill your role, to serve humanity for the greater good? Is your drive glory? You need to excel, your primary drive to be the best at whatever you do? Or is it to command, wanting to be in control? Your primary drive, therefore, to lead others in what you know to be the right direction. And these are essentially just aesthetic choices. There is not really any main thing to these, it's kind of backstory and roleplay. For me though, I genuinely feel that service is my drive. When I'm making content as a actual human being, I'm doing it to showcase how I'm having fun and how you can too. I want you guys to experience something that I'm really enjoying because you might enjoy it too, right? So service fills my drive. The third point then, it's got a bit more story here. The endless void of space calls to you, your dream of one day taking the helm of an Adalian ship and exploring the entirety of Adalia, which, yeah, is very much my kind of thing. I enroll in the Flight Academy, and on the first day of my training, you and all the other aspiring pilots log into the remote learning session hosted from Adalia Prime's Education Center. The video feed shows an older woman with a pilot's mask and the bald head favored by lifelong pilots, like Mohawks and Top Knots. Yeah. Relate. It keeps any hair away from the large radio headsets close over your ears while flying. I'm not going to go through all of this, but this is well written. I do like this. Now, while I'm learning the basics of flight, is there one area which particularly interests me? Which specialty would I want to pursue? I could be a navigator, while I've increased ship fuel efficiency while traveling. A buster, where I'll have increased top ship acceleration, or an operator, I'll have reduced rate of wear during ship operation. And this is actually quite an interesting discussion, again, for me as a person. If I were to be a pilot in space, which of those specialities would I go for? I'm not particularly a speed freak. I'm not painting my ships red in order to go faster or anything, so this whole increased top ship acceleration, it's kind of cool, but it's not really my thing. I'm probably more navigator or operator, and I think taking care of my ships, yeah, it's probably the one we're going to go for here, so I'm going to go for operator. Flight Academy's tough, but I have a knack for it. The final exam is notoriously difficult, and as it draws closer, my classmates start to become anxious. In response to the mounting pressure, I am communal, believing in community and cooperation. We can all succeed if we work together. I organise a study group, everyone will do much better working together, and you'll benefit from their notes and thoughts. That definitely sounds like me, right? Impartial, I'm capable of viewing many issues without bias or prejudice. You'll just take the exam. I know the material, I aren't that worried. Actually, I'll do fine. That's not so much me. If you know me in real life, bias and prejudice are something I actively embrace philosophically. And yeah, worry is definitely something I experience. I'm probably not impartial. Enterprising, resourceful and able to build on the ideas of others. I sell a copy of my study notes. Oh lord, why didn't I think of this at university? You feel pretty confident in the detailed notes I've been taking, but there are other students that have been not as diligent. You can help them out for a price. No, that's not so much me, otherwise I'd be putting a paywall on my content, right? I do ask for support where possible. If you're thinking of supporting me in my content, Patreon, PayPal, or joining the channel as memberships would really help, but I'm not here to sell it, it's just here for support. Righteous. I believe that I'm virtuous and hold others to a high moral standard. When no one's watching, I study. I have my notes and plenty of time to review them carefully. No shortcuts, no nonsense. That's kind of right, but it's definitely communal. I'm here to help other people, right? It's now my turn to find place in Adalian society. As I leave my childhood behind, do I feel adventurous, bold, brave, and intrepid, recognizing that in order to move humanity forward, it's sometimes necessary to take that giant leap? Am I ambitious? I know what needs to be done, and I know that I'm the one who can do it, driven to succeed no matter the obstacles. I wish I had that kind of self-assuredness. Arrogant. Hubris may have been the downfall of lesser people, but you're steadfastly confident in your own abilities. Let other people be led around by those stronger than themselves. You know what you're capable of. Nah, not me either. Cautious. Let others leap before they look. You'll stay with what you know works until there's some proof that another course is safer. Also, definitely not me. Creative. I seek to bring new ideas to light. My mind is constantly wandering to the question of what if. I want to see if I can explain the unexplainable. Yeah, definitely. Curious, excited to open your mind and learn something new. The universe is full of undiscovery, just waiting to be discovered. Perhaps. Frantic, prone to anxiety, and always forget your towel. Oh yeah, that's the ADHD right there. Independent, you're free-thinking and not prone to blindly following orders unless there's a very good explanation. Irrational, don't waste my time with logic, at least not the type that makes sense to anyone else. You've never had the dubious honor of being called reasonable. Pragmatic, instead of wasting time wishing for a better reality, you're firmly rooted in the present situation. Reckless, you believe that anyone who takes life too seriously will never know its true enjoyment. Or serious, you've no time for real self-indulgent nonsense. You understand your role and responsibilities in the universe and you wish that others understood theirs. Oh, yeah, no, this is going to be frantic, curious, or creative, I think. Possibly adventurous? Oh, this is actually a difficult one right here. This is really quite tricky. Which one of these do you reckon fits me? Creative? Perhaps. Curious? Yeah, frantic definitely feels about right, but I'm going to go with adventurous. I want to get out there, explore, and do something. So cool. With that done, we're going to hit create teammate. And what that's done by going through those questions is picked out the right sort of bits here. Most of these are cosmetic, so my drive is cosmetic, my communal aesthetic is cosmetic, and my adventurous abilities are cosmetic as well. There's nothing here other than just building the backstory of this character. The operator, however, is impactful. It has reduced rate of wear during ship operation. Now, I'm going to randomize the appearance. I do hope that when this actually launches, we get a bit more of sliders and being able to mess with stuff. Love the handlebar mustache. Not quite right, though. Let's keep going. No. That looks like I should be working for CCP in Iceland. Nope. We're just going to keep clicking until we find something that is remotely close. Again, the shaved head does kind of work, but not quite. I did find one the other day that was very close to what I was looking for, but that's almost tempting just to go with that one. Let's go a couple more because we do have an undo button here. See if we can find anything. There we go. That'll do nicely. Not exactly accurate, but close enough, right? You can also unlock traits so that you can change these manually. Now, I'm quite happy with this right here. So I'm now going to type in my name, and there's our first recruit. Now, this is going to tell me that I have, obviously, to mint this, because, again, it is an NFT. You do have to create these items, and that is done by making a payment in Sway. So I'm going to purchase that crewmate. That will drop some money out of my wallet if it's all working. No, we've got a bit of an issue here at the moment that we're not actually able to mint at the moment. Again, we are in a pre-release at the moment. It could be this whole new version of Influence needing to update my experience, but I'm logged in now and I'm showcasing this. So there we go. So what we're going to do then is go back and have a look at some of the other archetypes and the kind of things that you can expect for them as well, because that's what I want to be showcasing in this video. So what if I decided I wanted to be a miner instead? Again, we've got similar drives to before. So again, with a miner, we could go with someone who really wants to, like the glory of finding the best minerals. Excellent bit of backstory here behind the character. And now we get the thing that will actually influence and change how that character works. Are you a surveyor? Increased core sampling speed while surveying an asteroid? Well, I have decreased loss when reprocessing materials, or increased viability gain per core sample. Now, considering this guy in my mental head space here is like, oh, I want to be the best. I'm going to go with the prospector, increased viability. So we're going to be looking for the best stuff. And again, we've got these same bits here. I'm going to say he's going to be enterprising, resourceful, and able to build on the ideas of others to go from there. And again, we get these similar ideas. Now, this guy is going to be, let's see, ambitious. Knows what he needs to do. We then go to create crewmate, and again, we get the mining stuff going on here. Choose a crewmate. We can change all this. We can actually also just go to unlock traits, and that then allows us to pick these manually. If you've decided that, oh, actually, those don't necessarily work, we can have a look at what could be the different options, and we can pick these manually as well. And you'll see that a lot of this is purely cosmetic. It's just here to help you sort of create an interesting character. If we come up to the bit here, we can see what these actually all do. So pilots, propellant exhaust velocity, propellant flow rate. Engineers give us better construction time, refining time, manufacturing time, and ship integration time. The miners get better core sampling time, core sample quality, and extraction time. Merchants, free transport distance, marketplace fee reduction, and scientists, reaction time and secondary refining yield. And so you can play around with all of these different traits and different roles to kind of get an idea of what you're looking for. So a scientist who's focused on the survival of humanity, who is, let's go with experimenter. Oh no, scholar, because we're looking at decreased time for the new technology. Impartial, because you're a scholar, right? And someone who is ambitious, maybe. An arrogant scholar certainly fits. Creative, curious. Yeah, it's going to have to be curious. And so you can play around with all this to get an idea of the different types of crew and how that's going to help you here early on in Influence. That crew is an important starting point for you, and it's going to help you figure out what you're going to be doing early on. It's going to drive your decision-making process. While we're here as well, I just want to kind of point out every single one of these dots is an asteroid. Now, some of these are already going to have people on them harvesting resources and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, but you can absolutely have a look at any single one of these asteroids, zoom in on it, and have a look at what is going on there in that system with all of the different stuff with it. I love this. I love this system. I can't wait to dive in and get involved in this. Anyway, today was just about the character creation and having a look at the different crewmates that you can find in Influence. Hopefully that's given you an idea of some of the cool stuff you can do in this game. Then from here, you'll spread out onto an asteroid, start prospecting it, start mining it, reprocessing those materials, and building up your economic empire. I'm looking forward to jumping right in. If you're looking forward to jumping into Influence as well, it is available on pre-release at the moment, due to go into full release in the next few weeks, I believe, like 6 to 8 weeks, sometime around that margin, before this comes into full detail. It is such an involved game. I love the amount of detail and stuff going on in this. Just be aware that this is going to be fairly slow burn. It's not the kind of thing you can jump into and start blowing stuff up on day one. You are building an empire from scratch with real space physics. So let me know what you think, folks. Otherwise, happy sailing, and see you all in Adalia.